Arm the drogue by grasping the deployment pud and extending the drogue bridle to its full length. Doing this pulls the deflation lines back inside the bridle. To set the brakes, pull the control line with the brake loop down to the guide ring and bring the locking loop through the control line loop and the guide ring. Now place the tip of the toggle into the locking loop and stow it in the elastic keeper. The slack line created by the stow is S-folded and placed in a second elastic keeper under the toggle. Repeat this procedure with the second brake toggle. As you can see, the toggle is snapped in place and the remainder is held in the Spandura pocket on the riser. Grasp the left and right line groups, then pull tension as you move the slider up to the canopy. Hang the canopy on a hook or over a shoulder to keep some tension on the lines. Pull the nose of each cell out and group them together. Let the nose hang and then quarter the slider. Starting on one side, flake the material between each line group to the outside of the canopy. When you reach the tail, pull the control lines tight. Match the line tabs of the inner control lines to those of the outer control lines. Then double stow the excess line in a rubber band that should be on the third control line tab. Once this is completed, check that the flaked material between the C and D line groups is still in place. Flake the other side of the canopy by following the same steps as the first side. After checking that the slider is still quartered, grasp the nose of the canopy and place it to the center rear of the flaked material. Now ensure that the slider flag is exposed to the front of the canopy. Find the center of the tail and bring it above the slider grommets. Wrap the remainder of the tail around the canopy and then roll it so that the canopy is cocooned in the tail. Keeping tension on the lines, lay the canopy on the floor. Carefully remove the air from the canopy while shaping it to the width of the ALS bag. S-fold the canopy to the approximate size of the bag. Position the open bag with the inside rubber bands on top of the S-folds. Keeping control of the canopy and bag, bring the lower flap under the canopy. Begin to close the inside flap with a 2-inch stow of line in the rubber band on the inside center of the bag. Continue to close the first flap with 2 more stows of line using the left and right inside rubber bands. While keeping control of the canopy, make the Velcro on the side flaps of the bag. S-fold the lines to the approximate width of the bag and stow with a 2-inch bight of line. Leave approximately 4 feet of line available to close the anti-line slump flap. To make the first stow on the ALS flap, place one of the outside bungees through an outside grommet and lock with a 2-inch bight of line. The second stow uses the bungee on the opposite end of the flap. The final locking stow is always to the center bungee with all S-folded line tucked under the flap. While keeping control of the lines, place the ALS bag into the container. Place each set of risers into its riser cover channel and close the riser cover. Attach the RSL to the Swedish link if it has been disabled by the previous instructor. Position the ALS bag and compress it into the container. At this point, ensure that the drogue is armed. To close the container, use a pull-up cord through the top loop on the bottom flap to pass it through the top grommet on the upper flap. Lock the loop temporarily with the flex pin. Position the drogue bridle so that it has no twists and the flex pin is to the wearer's right. Rig the 3-ring release system. It is very important that each cable is inserted into only one end of the through loop, and that the 3-ring is rigged correctly. Remove the flex pin from its temporary locking position and feed it through the cable housing. Now place the flex pin back in the closing loop. Neatly tuck the drogue riser to the side and then bring the lower loop on the bottom flap through the upper flap. Lock it temporarily with the flex pin. Position a small fold of the drogue bridle to the right side and close the right side flap. Now close the left side flap and lock it with the flex pin. Remove the pull-up cord and place the excess flex pin in the left side flap and close the pin cover flap. Position the drogue bridle in the bridle channel and close the tuck flaps. To pack the drogue, first lay it flat, then bring the base up so that it is just above the drogue pud. Now fold the drogue again so that the mesh is covered. Bring the base back on top of the drogue material and S-fold the bridle on the base. Fold the excess drogue material up onto the base and bridle. Fold the drogue into thirds, leaving the drogue pud in the center. Roll it tightly from one side to the other. Place the excess bridle into the drogue pouch. Then insert the drogue and mate the Velcro. Finally, dress the center flap by tucking it into the side flaps.